Okay, one
Watch
more.
out, hot girl. You just want one?
Hey, we're the Russell family. We live in Newcastle, and this is us, I suppose.
My name's Xander. I enjoy music, space, history, human body, Minecraft, Titanic, etc. Also enjoy eating and, friends, sports, cricket, NRL, and also tennis, rugby league.
Nights.
Xander has an incredible memory.
He doesn't forget anything, which is really quite...
Is just
it's quite
scary
inconvenient.
and inconvenient at times because he can always tell us exactly what we told him. We'll always get asked questions. So, on January such and such in 2011 when we did this, and we're just left scratching our heads going, sure, we'll just believe you.
My name's Charlotte. I'm turning 13 in October. So I'm 12 right now.
She's interested in drama and enjoys the process of performance, though not necessarily the getting up in front. I think, like everyone, it's a bit of a challenge and a bit of a, even as a teacher of drama, I see the kids struggle even at 16, 17, 18. But she's very talented in terms of drawing and her artistic ability. And so Charlotte's super interested in Japanese culture and drawing and that sort of thing. And that's where all the time and energy goes. And so she gets better at those things. With Xander, we had a diagnosis for his vision impairment. And that was completely new. He's our oldest. He was our first baby. And so we were still learning what babies should be doing and not doing and that sort of thing. And then we had this diagnosis of a vision impairment. And so then we were trying to learn, well, what's a normal baby do and what's a vision impaired baby do? And then it's a long process. It's a long drawn out process where you don't get answers. You just get more questions and you get more tests and questionnaires asking, did they do this or do that to see whether they've hit those milestones.
And then when you get the answer, then it's like, here you go, here's your diagnosis and off you go. So it was quite a different process for us with the vision impairment. There was a path to follow. When you receive an autism diagnosis, there's not really a path. No one ever tells you at the time anyway. No one told us what to do. And that's really all we wanted. And I think that's what most parents want. They want to know, what do we do? What is the best thing for us to do to help our child? Charlotte was so different to Xander. We thought that she was typical. Do you know what I mean? We had no other reference point to compare. And then suddenly they're starting to say to us, well, we think, there's some communication issues here, some social issues, and we suddenly realised, yes, there is. And I've never felt so guilty in my life as to go, we've got a child on the spectrum and now suddenly we've got another child and we've never picked it. When she came to primary school, kindergarten, that's when we really saw the issues. She
was crying under tables, wasn't she?
Yes, that's what I was about to say. Whenever she was getting in trouble or she got criticised, she couldn't cope. She'd go and hide under a table, have a meltdown. She ripped up another girl's work one day because she couldn't express herself properly. And it was her kindergarten teacher who said, yes, I think she is on the spectrum too. And we went through that process and we got the diagnosis. And between them, the interesting thing, they share a diagnosis, but Xander needs all the information. He knows all and needs to know everything, where Charlotte's sometimes better not to know.
Yeah.
You mean, because that just feeds to the anxiety. So the different kids have different requirements.
All in all, the school's been very supportive, but that's because we've had a really open dialogue with them. We've had a long process of conversation and being very open about what our expectations and what our fears and worries were. And then they also were very good in coming back to us and asking us, and we did some transitions, a lot of transitions in the last term of primary school, that sort of things, which made things more comfortable, didn't it, Zan?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I love the fact you've been involved in the process. So he has been involved in IEP meetings, so education meetings where we look at his individualised plan, and the school's been really good at asking for his feedback and what he wants to do as well, which is part of the next stage for us with the kids, is teaching them to advocate for themselves, which is the next step.
I think that the idea of a strength-based approach to learning and just getting along in life is sort of people becoming more aware of it. I certainly think education is focusing more on strength-based approaches, and so that's a huge advantage for our kids. We can, rather than thinking about what they can't do and what we need to fix in that regard, we are instead thinking about, well, what can they do and how can we maximise the opportunities because of those strengths that they have.
The kids, we've been lucky enough, Xander has gone into a gifted and talented stream, so he is quite intelligent and that's been recognised. He was in a competitive process and got into that. And Charlotte auditioned for a creative and performing arts program. So they've gone into streams. They've been able to show on their own merits their own strengths. And we've been always believed very much in working on their strengths and giving them the opportunity to do whatever they want to do and to maximise their capabilities. You know, there are distinct challenges that we've got to face and that they'll have to face, but with school anyway, it really is talking to the school and getting them on board with their strengths. So in fact, I think earlier this year, one of Xander's teachers allowed him to actually help teach a class because he had SWAT over Titanic, which is one of his interests, all weekend. Came in, knew basically more than the teacher, and the teacher was cool with that, said, rightio, Xander, do you want to go and talk about these things? That's what they did, wasn't it? Yeah. So I think if you've got a school who can really work with that and be flexible, and that's what we're asking the kids to be, is flexible. So we need to be flexible as well.
And if we've got a concern either about their understanding in class or what they're achieving at school, or if they've come home worried about things, then we have a talk with the teacher about it. And, you know, I don't think we've had a problem in that regard. Everyone's been very receptive and helpful and wanting to make the most for the kids. We were really lucky with both of the kids. They've got teachers that get them, that understand the way they are thinking, their interests, that sort of thing. And so they were able to build some really good relationships with those particular teachers.
Put it in a nutshell, a good teacher is a teacher who will help a kid out with his problems and will acknowledge their interests. That makes a perfect teacher.
So then, you're going to eat at the table, aren't you?
One more shot, and then I force the tyranny of sandwiches.
Right.
To the tyranny